right, let's see if I can explain this project file to you properly. Okay, so this is the Moon project file. I am in VCarve Pro 11.55. And here's the 3D model. That's how it's going to look like inside the project file. But if this model, for some reason, if you're using a different program or something, there is an actual file for the 3D model. And if this was actually missing from this project, you just have to go up here and then say import component 3D model and point to it. And then import it in. The size of the moon can be scaled if you need it to be scaled down or smaller. But yeah, so you can make it any size you want. But when you do this, you're going to also want to change, I guess, the height amount in which it is, I guess, extruded, if that makes sense. So let's see. Okay, so I select the model. Let's see if I can show you in real time what that's about. So right now, like that's the current height, which is just shy of 35 millimeters, which is about 1.5 inches. But if you needed to extrude it thicker, you can always extrude it thicker if you wanted. Or if you wanted to make it more pronounced or more rounded, just crank this number up. You said you had about maybe 2 inches, so that's probably close to like 50 millimeters maybe in thickness. So you could technically extrude it that much if you wanted. But yeah, if you do end up doing this, yeah, just bear in mind you might have a different result in how it lights up in the end when you hang it up on the wall and you put the LED strip in. So I'll change that back. All I did was press Control Z to undo what I just did. Okay, and then as far as the cutting paths I have, here I'll actually go through them here. So I'm using a 4th down cut bit for a roughing pass. It's a roughing pass. And then to clean up this edge, I have like a border cleanup. Clean it up a little bit, and then I do the lighting slot. So there's a little slot down here, so you can run a cord behind the picture frame. And then I do another border cleanup, which is, I think that one just cleans up. Yeah, it cleans up around here a little bit better. I should say, yeah, these first 3 are the 4th cut down bits, and then this one is a ball nose bit. And then this next one is the finishing pass, which is also a 1/4 inch ball nose bit. Now we'll clean it up. Now, if you really wanted to, you could skip this next one, which is the 8th ball nose bit. It just adds more detail, I guess, smaller craters and all that stuff going on here. So it just kind of adds a little bit more to it. And then for the frame itself, or the border around everything, I'm using a 4th cut upcut bit to put like dowel holes all the way around the border. This down the road helps line up the picture frame that you can attach to the front. So I'll preview that. And then the last pass would be cutting it out, which will then be a 1/4 inch compression bit. Or you could use a downcut bit or upcut bit, whatever you have. They would pretty much do the same thing, except for the compression bit would probably give you cleaner edges on both sides of the workpiece. And then in the end, you'll have this as your final result. You will have to make like a, what do you call it? A hanging slot in the back, which I have as another pass right here. A little keyhole slot. And then all this is you more or less take this, center this cut path to probably around here on the moon. You just got to make sure that the thickness of the moon is thick enough for you to be able to hang it, or thick enough for you not to end up cutting through your workpiece, I guess, because this will go down into the material probably about, from what I remember, it goes into the material at a cup depth of 10 millimeters. So you got to make sure you have at least 10 millimeters of material so you don't puncture through the front when you flip it over and add the keyhole slot. And the keyhole slot, it's more or less, that's all it is. But imagine this preview as an actual keyhole bit. I used a 1/2 inch keyhole slot bit for that. Okay, so now this piece and this goes with this piece is done. It's good to go. This pass would be like when you're first starting your project. You want to flatten out your wood surface to make sure everything's flat and even all the way around before you maybe start cutting. As far as this, what am I looking for? Am I looking for this one? I don't know if I'm not looking for that one. I'm looking for this. Yes. So my starting thickness of my actual wood was 38 millimeters, but then I flattened it down and made it completely flat all the way around, and it came down to 35 millimeters in the end. Something to watch out for, depends whatever you're doing or whatever you like to do. I tend to zero off my, I guess, spoil board and not the project surface most of the time, but something to look for when you open the project file. Make sure some of these might be spoil board zeroing, and then some of these may not be. I think like for the keyhole slot, for instance, pretty sure that one's going to zero off the material surface and not your spoil board surface. So you're gonna want to make sure you keep an eye out for that. All right. there's this one, I did not have to do this, but if there, for some reason, when you glue all these individual pieces together right here to make this circle, to make your frame, if for some reason it's not flat or even all the way around, you can use this surfacing pass to help flatten out the frame again, like after you glued it up and all that stuff. Okay, so for the frame itself, it's more or less the same. These three are pretty much the same, except for some of them have holes, and these are the dowel holes that we made in our frame all the way around here. So some of these have the dowel holes, some of them do not. And the way these look when you cut them out, is I use a 1/8 down cut bit. That will make the slots for the bow ties, I guess, is what you would maybe call them. 1/4 upcut bit, and that would be for the ones with the dowel rods. They don't go all the way through. I think this material thickness is about 1/2 inch thick. I'd have to double check that. Yep, okay. 1/4 upcut bit, dowel rod holes too. What's that one? Not sure on that one. Oh, okay. That might be you doing. You can skip. Well, imagine this as the second board in here. It would be just these two. Yeah, that's what. So I more or less just took the same sheet and just did these two. Okay, so that's what that one was. And then we got the 1/8 compression bit cut out. So you're more or less cutting everything out. And then I think I clean up the edges with like one pass for each, I think, and that might tighten it up a little bit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did that more or less because when you're cutting through material for the first time, it makes multiple passes, and then sometimes you can maybe get lines on the sides and stuff. And so for this last pass, it just does one pass all the way around instead of multiple passes. Okay, so once you get all your pieces cut out, I more or less just put this over here as a reference for how the frame should come together. So you will have 2 blank ones, and then one with a dowel rod or a dowel hole, then 2 blank ones and one with a dowel hole, and then you do this all the way around. And when you're gluing everything up together, these little bow tie slots will help keep it lined up and glued together. And you'll have to cut out 24 of these. And from what I remember, let's see, it's 5 millimeters thick, these guys. So which means these slots right here are 5 millimeters cut into the material. So this guy is more or less a flattening, surfacing pass to flatten all these boards right here. So I think that's maybe the, well, same thing over here. This is more or less just a surfacing, flattening pass to flatten out these to a certain thickness, which will be the 5 millimeters. And then the way these get cut out, that's how these get cut out. I did not include little tabs on there, so make sure you just tape it down to your spoil board really good so they don't move while you're cutting it out. I think that might be it as far as explanation, I guess, goes. You said you were working with a 2-inch material, so you'd have to go through here, especially this part of the project, and then make sure you set your material thickness to the thickness that you actually want. Or if you want to make the whole project bigger, you have to scale everything. As far as maybe scaling all this proportionally, I guess, to make sure everything still fits together. There's multiple parts. I don't think you can just select everything. Unless there's like a way to percentage scale everything a certain amount by just typing it in. You'd have, yeah, okay. So you'd have to, I guess, scale everything the same. So like if I scaled like this. So like if you scaled this project, I guess you'd have to make sure that this percentage is the same throughout all your pieces so they all scale exactly the same. I wish they had a way to just, oh, I guess there is. Instead of scaling by millimeters, you just scale by your percentage. There you go. So if you wanted to go at least 100% or 120% bigger, you just apply it, and then you can make your whole thing bigger, and then you do that for all the pieces. As far as like, yeah, if you scale like that though, your dowel rods will no longer be, I guess, I think they're right now at probably 1/4 of an inch thickness. I'd have to double check that. Let's see what the size of this circle is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 1/4 of an inch. 6.35 is 1/4 of an inch. So like if you scale everything, your dowel holes will be also scaled, so you're going to have to readjust those if you want to use 1/4 of an inch dowel rod. I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else right now to explain, but I feel like that was a pretty in-depth overview of what the project is. Yeah, again, this is VCarve Pro, so you should be able to open it. And oh, actually, you know what? As far as assembly goes, the way I assembled this is, you know, I cut the moon file out first, then I cut the frame out. I glued together the frame while also gluing it together. I glued together the frame while it also being in place on top of the actual moon to make sure everything stays lined up. Yeah, the frame was a little bit tricky. So what I did was I put the dowel rods in this guy right here. And then I think I held the parts together with tape as I was gluing it. And then I put the moon, I put the frame on the moon, but I didn't actually glue it down. Because I wanted to be able to still finish it, and put like a finish on it, and sand it and smooth it out and all that stuff. I only put it on here to make sure it lines up and stays lined up the way it should be. Because if you're gluing this separately, you might run into it not gluing up exactly circular or the way it should be. So keep that in mind. Like another thing you could probably do to maybe glue this frame together and do it properly, like there's a different option you could do, is just you glue it together while gluing it onto here. Glue everything up all at once, but then if you do that, then you might be limited to how much sanding you can do and what kind of finish you apply to this and all that stuff. Because I ended up painting the moon and adding the stain to this both separately, and then I glued everything together. And then when you're done with all that stuff, then you get a strip of LED lights. I think I included a link to the lights I used, but you more or less run LED lights within this border right here, and it's hidden by the frame. And you would want to run the lights like pretty much butt up against where the frame would be sitting. So like right through here, you'd set up the LED lights. And then it would go all the way around. And then you run the cord down here, and it just hangs off the wall. Okay, now I'm done.